Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Jaya Radha Nila Madhura Nila Madhura Jaya Radha Jaya Radha Giridhari Radhe Jaya Jaya Giri Govardhan Jaya Giri Govardhan Jaya Nitai Chaitanya Chandra Nitai Gaura Chandra Gaurahari Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jaya Jaya Gurudev
Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Ashtottara Sata Shri Sriman Shri A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Shima Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Gaur Kishoras Babaji Bhakti Vinod Thakur Jagannath Das Babaji Zad Goswami Rupa Raghunatha Ki Srila Prabhupada Guru Puja Ki Jai. Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Hari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinata Shamakunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Shri Shri Bharaj Bhumi Mandal Vrindavanadama Ki Jai Shri Shri Dwadasha Kalanda Ki Jai Shri Shri Katyayani Vrata Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All assembled devotees. All assembled devotees. Shri Shri Bihar Mridanga Ki Jai.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jayam Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajagacharya Sutara Shishimari Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Nitai Gaura Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayat Nasta Praishu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhaviti Naistike. Hare Krishna. We're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Creation, Chapter 15, Pandavas retired timely. We're doing text 12. Yat Tejasa Ata Bhagavan Yuddhi Shulapani Vishmapitaha Sagirija Astram Adad Nijam Me Anye Api Cha Aham Amuna Eva Kalevarena Praptaha Maha Indra Bhavane Mahat Asana Ardhan Yatte Jasata Bhagavan Yudhishulapani Yatte Jasata Bhagavan Yudhishulapani Vishma Pita Sagirijostram Adan Nijam Me Vishma Pita Sagirijostram Adan Nijam Me Anye Pichakam Amunaiva Kalevarena Anye Pichaham Amunaiva Kalevarena Prapto Mahendra Bhavane Mahad Asanardam Prapto Mahendra Bhavane Mahad Asanardam Yatte Jasata Bhagavan Yudhishulapanir Vishma Pita Sagirijostram Adan Nijam Me Anye Pichaham Amunaiva Kalevarena Prapto Mahendra Bhavane Mahadasanardam. Please chant. Yatte jasata bhagavan yudhishulapanir. Prapto Mahendra Bhavane Maharasanardam. Yatte jasata bhagavan yudhishulapanir. Visma pita sagirijostra madannijam me. Anye pichaha amunaiva kalevarena. Prapto Mahendra Bhavane Maharasanardam. Ladies. Yatte jasata bhagavan yudhishulapanir. Vishma pita sagirijostram adannijam me. Anye pichaham amunaiva kalevarena. Prapto Mahendra Bhavane Maharasanardam. Sulapanir. Vishma pita sagirijostram adannijam me. Anye pichaham amunaiva kalevarena. Prapto Mahendra Bhavane Maharasanardam. Yet by those Tejasa by influence, Atha at one time, Bhagavan, the personality of God, Lord Shiva, Yuddhi in the battle, Shulapanihi, one who has a trident in his hand, Vishma Pitaha, astonished, Sagirija, along with the daughter of the Himalaya mountains, Astram, weapon, Adat, awarded, Nijam, of his own, May, unto me, Anye api, so also others, Cha, and Aham, myself, Amuna, by this, Eva, definitely, Kalevarena, by the body, Prapta, obtained, Maha Indra Bhavane, in the house of Indra Deva, Mahat, great, Asana Ardham, half elevated seat. There's a full elevated seat also. Huh? Is that right? Okay. Okay, in comparison with the main person. Okay. Translation purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation, please repeat with me. It was by his influence only that in a fight I was able to astonish the personality of God, Lord Shiva, and his wife, the daughter of Mount Himalaya. Thus he, Lord Shiva, became pleased with me and awarded me his own weapon. Other demigods also delivered their respective weapons to me, and in addition I was able to reach the heavenly planets in this present body and was allowed a half-elevated seat. Okay, that makes sense. In comparison with the demigods, he was allowed to sit with them, but not as high as their seats. Okay. All right, purport. By the grace of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, all the demigods, including Lord Shiva, were pleased with Arjuna. The idea is that one who is favored by Lord Shiva or any other demigod may not necessarily be favored by the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. Ravana was certainly a great devotee of Lord Shiva, but he could not be saved from the wrath of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Ramachandra. And there are many instances like that in the histories of the Puranas. But here is an instance where we can see that Lord Shiva became pleased even in the fight with Arjuna. The devotees of Supreme Lord know how to respect the demigods, but the devotees of the demigods sometimes foolishly think that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is no greater than the demigods. By such a conception, one becomes an offender and ultimately meets with the same end as Ravana and others. The instances described by Arjuna during his friendly dealings with Lord Sri Krishna are instructive for all who may be convinced by the lessons that one can achieve all favors simply by pleasing the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna, whereas the devotees or worshippers of the demigods may achieve only partial benefits, which are also perishable, just as the demigods themselves are. Another significance of the present verse is that Arjuna, by the grace of Lord Sri Krishna, was able to reach the heavenly planet even with the self-same body and was honored by the heavenly demigod Indradeva, being seated with him half elevated. One can reach the heavenly planets by the pious acts recommended in the Shastras in the category of fruitive activities. And as stated in the Bhagavad Gita 9:21, when the reactions of such pious acts are spent, then joy is again degraded to this heavenly planet. The moon is also on the level with the heavenly planets, and only persons who have performed virtues only, performing sacrifices, giving charity, and undergoing severe austerities, can be allowed to enter into the heavenly planets after the duration of life of the body. Arjuna was allowed to enter into the heavenly planets in the self-same body simply by the grace of the Lord. Otherwise, it is not possible to do so. The present attempts to enter into the heavenly planets by the modern scientists will certainly prove futile because such scientists are not on the level of Arjuna. They are ordinary human beings without any assets of sacrifice, charity, or austerities. The material body is influenced by the three modes of material nature, namely goodness, passion, and ignorance. The present population is more or less influenced by the modes of passion and ignorance, and the symptoms for such influence are exhibited in their becoming very lusty and greedy. Such degraded fellows can hardly approach the higher planetary systems. Above the heavenly planets, there are many other planets also, which only those who are influenced by goodness can reach. In heavenly and other planets within the universe, the inhabitants are all highly intelligent, many more times than the human beings, and they are all pious in the higher and highest mode of goodness. They are all devotees of the Lord, and although their goodness is not unadulterated, still they are known as demigods, possessing the maximum amount of good qualities possible within the material world. Mama Jnanatimirandasya Jana Jana Shalaka Chakshu Sanmilitamena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah Mukam Garati Vachanam Bangam Langayate Girim Yadkapadam Amande Shri Gurum Dena Taranam Paramananda Madham Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Savodita Gadode Pushpanda Chitra Sanda Tamondada. All right, welcome, Hare Krishna. So we are looking at the section of the Bhagavatam in the first canto. All these are after the Kurukshetra war. It's all done. There's no more going back. Everyone is dead. Everyone they know, brothers, cousin brothers, families, uncles, fathers, everyone. Practically, I was reading a conversation between Prabhupada and some disciples. So they were telling Prabhupada, 650 million people died. Prabhupada goes, 650? Is that right? He said, you wrote it in the Bhagavad Gita. He said, 650? So Prabhupada himself is like questioning the number. He was saying there's only 18 Akshayonis like that. So, and another place, another devotee Prabhupada disciple said, it's more like 6.4 million people, not 650. Yeah? Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, I also looked into this thing.
Yeah.
And 18 Akshayonis doesn't equate to even 6 million.
Yeah.
But I looked at Mahabharata and this and that, and in one place it said, so we have the human Akshayonis, right? But there are also some Rakshasas and these demoniac forces that were supporting, you see Garudkacha came and there, so if you count these hobgoblins and all this stuff, then the numbers are huge.
It's possible, but even Prabhupada didn't say that number was correct. So anyway, I just wanted to say that in the conversation he was like questioning. He himself didn't say, yes, this is the number. Yeah. He kept quiet actually, yeah. So anyway, at this point, we find that Arjuna left, and for 9 months he was gone, and when he comes back, it is realized that Sri Krishna has already left. And therefore it's very, they're going through a lot of emotional, this emotion is not the emotions that we go through. These are transcendental emotions they're going through. It's more connected with the separation between the Lord and His dear devotees. So they're feeling, on the external point of view, we see them to suffer. But actually there's, yes, there is suffering, but it's not that kind of suffering. Yeah. It's very difficult to understand until we ourselves go through those emotions, devotional sentiments and so on. You cry because you miss the Lord, That is one of the ways of going back to Godhead for all of us. We have to come to the point of actually feeling this separation from not only Krishna, even our acharyas and also Srila Prabhupada, our spiritual masters and so on. We should feel that separation whenever they are not around, So that means we are developing that proper sentiments, the right sentiments. Otherwise we will be feeling separation for an iPhone or a car or your home or your clothing, someone took it or whatever. So those things are not going to develop deeper emotional, spiritual emotions. In this particular verse, we see Arjuna is not directly, in fact, he hasn't told Yudhishthira, yes, Yudhishthira already knows the Lord has left because of the omens and all the celestial happenings around the countryside, even around the world. So he already knows that the Lord has left. He's just waiting for confirmation. But Arjuna is not willing to say it, and he is just giving different things that he had been with Krishna. So one of the things that we can learn from this is that when we feel depressed or disgusted or we feel lost in this world, we should try to remember the pastimes of Krishna. We should try to speak the pastimes of Krishna and his devotees. Srila Prabhupada or his disciples have done great service in the world. So the more we talk and elaborate, our consciousness from the material level is elevated. And then therefore we become relief from this threefold miseries that are attacking us through the three modes of material energy. So it's very important for us to understand that. And therefore we can see in the same way by Arjuna speaking about Krishna, he's feeling happiness. And he's also feeling, or he's making others feel elevated also. And not that they all feel depressed and they all cry or whatever. It is not wrong to cry, but at the same time, it should be done in a proper mood. Yes, when great devotees leave, we also cry, but the crying is because we are going to miss them. But we are not crying because we want them here so that they can gratify our senses. Okay, that's the right attitude. The attitude is they are going somewhere, but we are going to miss them. And because of that, I'm going to be crying because I love their association. They've given me so much, they've trained me so much, now I'm going to miss that. So that's the mood of the devotees. We have to cultivate such attitude. In this very nice purport, actually in this whole section you will find a lot of these pastimes of in the Mahabharata has been elaborated here. One of the things here we can see in the purport, Srila Prabhupada talks about how Arjuna goes to the heavenly kingdom on his self-same body. In the Bhagavad Gita, in 14th chapter, Krishna says, Urdhva gachanti sattvasta, and then madhya tistanti rajasa, jaganja guna vrittista ado gachanti tamasa. That means if you are situated in the mode of goodness, then gradually you go upwards. And if you are situated in the mode of passion, you remain where you are. And if you are situated in the mode of ignorance, you go downwards. Meaning, in our lives, wherever our consciousness, our activities are attracted to, that's where we are going to end up to. So when we do good things, when we follow rules, regulations nicely, we will attain a higher consciousness, and therefore we go to the heavenly planets. But if we do Krishna conscious activities in the proper mood, not just doing it for the pleasure of the Lord, when we do it properly, then we can attain the spiritual abodes. But if you do it reluctantly, then it's actually in the mode of goodness, so you just go to the higher planets at most. Otherwise, it is rajasic. Rajasic means in passion. Passion, everyone takes birth in this planetary system. And then those who are doing nonsense and not interested, wasting their human form of life, they will take birth in the lower species or even in the lower planetary systems like that. Now, here in the purports also, Prabhupada also explains how there are higher planetary systems. We only, here he talks about how Arjuna goes to Indraloka. Indraloka is situated in which level or plane? Swargaloka. And beyond Swargaloka you have Tapaloka, Janaloka, Mahaloka, Satyaloka, and there's, that's it, right? Yeah. And there are 7 above and 7 below. And all those personalities beyond Swargaloka are considered to be more intelligent than those who are in the Swargaloka. They are also considered to be much more elevated in their consciousness. Some of them are almost pure devotees, all pure devotees, but they are just waiting for the end of the destruction of this universe, and then they can go back to Godhead. They just meditate, or they worship, or they pray like that. So if you read, particularly in the book Brihad Bhagavatamrita, when you read, you will see how Gopakarna, he goes through all the levels. So he goes through all this upper planetary system, and you can see the level of their consciousness is at, and they are endowed with all kinds of siddhis, and they are not interested actually. You know, they can travel to any universe, any planet, but they're not interested at all. All they're interested in glorifying the Supreme Lord. They are all devotees, and as Prabhupada mentions here, they are all possessing maximum amount of good qualities possible within the material world. And then he says their goodness is not unadulterated. Yeah, that means it is adulterated. Still, therefore, they have to remain in this material world. Yeah, but they are performing devotional service. Now, in the case of our Lord Brahma, he's a pure devotee. So these devotees in Tapaloka, Janaloka, Satyaloka, they all actually serve Lord Brahma. And so at the end of this creation of this universe, because they serve Brahma, they also get to go back to Godhead. It's nice, no? So similarly, when we serve Srila Prabhupada and the mission, ISKCON mission, we also get to go back to Godhead if you do it properly. But if you don't do it properly, then you have to come back one more time or two more times or 100 times, depending on your desire, right? So yeah. And we can see actually in all these pages, behind every wonderful personalities, behind all these advanced devotees and so on, we see Krishna is behind them. If it's not Krishna, it's a devotee of Krishna behind them, right? If Dhruva Maharaj, who's behind Dhruva Maharaj? Who empowered him? Narada Muni. And who instigated Narada Muni? Yeah, Krishna. So he came because that lineage is so exalted and they have so much potential to go back to Godhead. So Krishna sends Narada Muni and so on. So similarly, our lineage is through the parampara for all of us. And so our parampara is not ordinary. These are exalted parents. These are all manjaris and shakis there, So if we take this life and really serve the Lord, we will go back to Godhead. It is undoubtedly a fact. Don't doubt this, because you will go back to Godhead, but you have to put the effort in. Otherwise you have to come back a few more times like that. And you don't want to come back 2 more, 3 more times like that. Otherwise what happens? We have to go to a heavenly planet, and then if we take up Krishna consciousness seriously in the heavenly planet, then you can go back. But if you just go to Indra Loka, then too bad, then you'll be spending time in Nandanana, Kana, all those, and seeing all the apsaras and so on and so forth. And then it's just like I was thinking, that many young, in the early days, many young Indian pujaris, they used to come. For them, they are in the lower planetary system there, because the living condition in India is very bad. So they come to America to do puja. And then they see all these ladies like apsaras, So many of them just get married and start family like that, So you can see, even within this material world, there's gradations of upper lifestyle, better body features and so on. So we have to accept those things. Otherwise, shine punyam martya lokam vishanti. Right? You enjoy everything, and then you go, after that, finish. You have to come back into this material world, No doubt we understand the purpose, no doubt we know its importance, but we don't have the ability to actually push ourselves into doing what is good for us eternally. The problem is we associate too much with the material energy, and therefore we can't help ourselves, nor can we help others. Rather, we go down and we bring everyone down with us, right? And so therefore, it's very important for us to understand. Prabhupada says, one who is promoted to the higher planetary systems enjoy a longer duration of life and senses also. The sense gratification is immaculate. You cannot really compare. You really can't compare. No matter what technology they have, no matter how big, beautiful houses they build, it is still incomparable to the heavenly denizens. Jai Shri Shri Radha Nila Madhava Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Giridhari Giri Govardhana Ki Jai. Shri Shri Nitai Chaitanya Nitai Gaur Chandra Ki Jai. ISKCON Guru Parampara Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Now, although we can go to the upper planetary system, we are not allowed to stay there forever, right? So we read here also, when Arjuna went up, he also can't stay there forever. He wasn't allowed to stay for long. He was allowed. It's a very interesting thing that he was allowed, because he says because of Krishna. Because Krishna has blessed him, and therefore Lord Indra allowed him to come. There is a pastime in the Mahabharata, also in the Ramayana also. There was a great king, Matanga. King Matanga. And so he once helped Vishwamitra Muni. And he took care of Vishwamitra's wife very nicely while Vishwamitra was doing his austerities or something like that. So many years later, King Matanga was ready to go back to the heavenly planets to enjoy. So then he told his guru was Vashishta Muni, and he said, send me in this same body, I want to go to the heavenly planets and enjoy. And then Vashishta said, no, that's not possible. You have to give up this body and get the new celestial body to go up. But Matanga, King Matanga was, no, I don't. So then when Vashishta refused, he went to Vashishta Muni's 100 sons. And then he said, your father don't, so you do it. Send me to the heavenly planets. So the sons were very angry with him because you refused your guru and now you're coming and ask. So they cursed him. So they cursed him to become a Chandala. So of course, from a Kshatriya, he becomes a Chandala. His body features, everything becomes very bad. And then, so then he wanders around the place. People don't recognize him and so on. Finally, he comes back to the hermitage of Vishwamitra, and then he asked Vishwamitra to send him to, he tells his story about what happens, and his own guru didn't send him. But at that time, Vishwamitra and Vashishta were enemies. Yeah. They didn't like each other. So he said, he refused to send you, I will send you. Vishwamitra immediately said. So then he's so powerful, right? He has made so much tejas. When Brahmanas practice austerities and so on, penances and so on, they accumulate so much potency. So by his own potency, he sent, at this time his name was Noma Matanga, it was Trishanku. So then he sent him up. So, he's like floating up and up. So he's very happy. So he sent him all the way to Indraloka. And so when the demigods saw that, they were very unhappy. This Chandala is coming. So then Indra came and said, you're not allowed to stay here, and then he kicked him. So when he kicked him, he fell. So he fell with his head down, so he was coming down. So Vishwamitra got very angry and he stopped him. He was so powerful, he held him, and so he was in that position. So he said, why don't you let him? I have made this yajna, I have asked you, all of you, to accept him. None of you have come for this yajna and accepted him. And so I sent him up, so what's wrong? So they said, no, he's not qualified in this body and so on. So then Vishwamitra got very angry. He said, so you think you are so good, I will create another planetary system that he can live. And so he started creating huge planetary systems. As he was creating, either Lord Brahma or Brihaspati Muni, Bhrigu Muni, they come and say, stop. You can't do this, This is not the way the Lord wanted, and this is not the way the balance of the universe is. If every Muni like you start doing it, then, we are in big trouble. So then Vishwamitra agreed and he stopped. Now by that time he used all his potencies and so on. So he went back to another place to do his austerities again. But because he is so powerful, Indra then sends Menaka to go and bewilder him, and from there Shakuntala comes and so on. So anyway, that's another story. But the point is, yes, when you have big powers and so on, one can artificially go up. And Srila Prabhupada mentions how here in this purport, the scientists also try to go up. In the Prabhupada uses Sputnik because during his time the Russians sent. But nowadays, you do Apollos, all the 1 to 13 or 14, whatever they send. And you go up there. And to this day, there's approximately in America, anywhere between 10% to 30% of Americans, they do not believe that man went to moon. And they are so unhappy. Yeah, that's a lot. If you look at the population of America, right? If it's close to 330 million, 10% is 33 million people. And then if it's 30%, then you're looking at almost 100 million people there. That's almost a third of the population. So a lot of people that still don't believe that people can go to moon. Obviously, there's records showing that they landed in a place. So in my reading and so on, Sadhaputta Prabhu said they may have landed, but they could have landed in a facsimile of the moon, or they could have landed in Ketu or Rahu planet. That always is very close to the moon, but it is not the moon itself, because Ketu and Rahu are always chasing the moon to gobble. So therefore sometimes there's eclipse and so on. So he says it is possible they could have landed. But they actually didn't land in moon, because our understanding through the Shastra and so on, there are personalities. There are people living there in the moon also. So if you go to the moon and you say it's just rocks and stone, means you haven't gone to the right place. So based on that, Srila Prabhupada said, no, you didn't go to the moon. Yeah, you didn't go to the moon. And of course, people will challenge and argue and so on and so forth. But our understanding is from a different level. And we also understand that the moon is in a different dimension. So in this dimension, you are not actually going to the moon. What you're seeing is a reflection of the moon. And so there's many ways of interpreting that. But of course, for the scientists, they want to see everything tangible. They want to see that. So that's how it is. So that's something. So for us to actually appreciate all this, we must then accept the Shastra. We should not doubt the Shastra. If you don't understand, we need to clarify. But we should never doubt the Shastra. One devotee, Purushottam Das, was serving Srila Prabhupada, and then he was his servant. And so during that time, the moon landing was going on. Prabhupada kept saying they didn't go to the moon. So he could not handle it, So one time he was cooking for Prabhupada, and then Prabhupada rang the bell. They came down, and then with another Mataji, I don't know, it was Janaki or someone. So at that time they were talking, and then they realized the cooking was going on. So they ran back up, and when he went there, the whole thing got fire, and then the smoke went. And then Prabhupada rang the bell again. What happened? So they came down, and Prabhupada looked at them and said, Purushottam's body was all like ashes, like black and so on. He said, what happened, Prabhupada? He was like, Prabhupada, he's a brahmachari, Prabhupada. Prabhupada said, what happened? You went to the moon? So he couldn't take it, He's very distant. Prabhupada, what do you mean? What do you mean I'm going to the moon? So then, you both went to the moon, because a lady came also. Then Prabhupada, I'm a brahmachari. So Prabhupada said, so what? Brahmacharis can't go to the moon? So Prabhupada teasing, because he doesn't believe in the moon, right, landing. And so Prabhupada was teasing him, and so finally, Prabhupada would tease him every now and then about moon landing. Eventually one day he packed up and told Prabhupada, I cannot stay because I don't believe that we didn't go to the moon. And so Prabhupada said, okay, that's fine. After he left, Prabhupada told Bhavananda Prabhu, that, it's okay he doesn't trust me, but why can't he trust the Shastra? So it's a very important thing for us also. Nayam lokasti na paro na sukham samsayatmana. One should always have faith in the scripture. You may not believe him or her or whatever, but we should have faith in the scripture. So it's very important for us to appreciate that. Okay? So so we have to understand the Shastra, we have to understand the scriptures, otherwise we will never attain perfection of religion or perfection of knowledge itself. We will not be able to know how to practice properly also. And we will become baffled in our abilities to attain the ultimate goal of life. We will become baffled because we do not know, we do not see things in the proper perspective. We see through the eye of the material consciousness, and therefore it will bewilder us. The nature of material energy is to bewilder us. And so when we see the whole creation, everything through material vision, then we become bewildered. That's how it's going to be. So now this pastime that he's talking about, Arjuna, about fighting with Lord Shiva, happens when they were all stationed in the forest, Kamyaka forest. When they left the kingdom and gave it to the Kauravas, they all went to the Kamyaka forest. Yeah? There were different locations, but generally speaking, they were in Kamyaka forest. And at that time, while they were at the 13th month, when they were still not happy about what had happened, Draupadi, every now and then she comes and harasses Yudhishthira. And then at that time, Yudhishthira then explains to her that we should tolerate all this thing because there's a higher purpose and you should understand, And one who's virtuous, you will eventually attain all the glories. But Draupadi could not accept that statement. She says, what are you talking about? You're a Kshatriya. You should fight for what is right. You should go and chop. We are so powerful. And then Bhima gets into it. He says, yes, she is right and we should fight. But of course, Yudhishthira explains the Shastra very clearly that being virtuous, being tolerant, being patient is all good qualities and is protected by the Supreme Lord. And therefore, one who takes to those kind of action and so on will reap the benefits eventually. But one who's spontaneously acting out of this emotion does not know what is right and wrong in the end, and therefore he does not gain what is the best for him. So at that time, as they were speaking, Vyasadeva comes, appears there, and he says, I've been thinking about your plight, Yudhishthira. So I will tell you how you can defeat the Kauravas. And so he says, let me talk to you in private. And so when they are in private, he says, Arjuna is very qualified and he is able to even practice austerities very nicely. And therefore, you should send him to go to the heavenly planets to get the weapons, the celestial weapons. Because what you should understand now, you have Bhishma, you have Dronacharya, you have Karna, you have, who's the other one? Kripacharya and one more person, Ashwatthama. Yes, these 5 people, they all know the celestial weapons and you cannot defeat them like that. And so you should send Arjuna. And then so he says, now I will teach you this mantra that you should teach to Arjuna. It is called the Pratiloka mantra. And this Pratiloka mantra is by chanting this mantra, you think of the place and you can go there at the speed of the mind. So you can go to the heavenly planets in that way also. So then he teaches this mantra to Yudhishthira, and then Yudhishthira was thinking, okay, now I have to teach to Arjuna. So he waited for an opportune time because he was thinking, if I teach Arjuna, immediately he'll go and then we'll miss his company. So then he waited for a while, and on a very auspicious day, the Brahmanas who were with Yudhishthira Maharaj, they did a big sacrifice, and then finally he made Arjuna take bath and so on, and then he gave him this mantra also. So once he got that mantra, they picked a day for him to travel. And so immediately he chants the mantra, and then he runs. He's running in the forest, and he's going at the speed of the mind. And then he reaches the Mandara mountain very quickly. And then whilst he's there at the Mandara mountain, he meets a Brahmana who is sitting on a tree laughing at him and say, oh, you're very special. Nobody can come here. One has to be very pious, elevated. You've already achieved many Brahmanas who try. And so why are you carrying all these weapons? So, he had all these quivers, a bow and so on. He's also wearing his armor, deer skin, everything. He's ready to fight. Then he said, I'm a Kshatriya and I'm a brother of Yudhishthira Maharaj, who's a king, and I'm actually coming here to meet Indra to get the celestial weapons. And then he said, the Brahmin said, why you worry about all this thing, war, this will go on, but you're already here, just give up and practice austerity and we can become elevated, conscious. And then he said, no, I cannot abandon my brother, I cannot abandon all my brothers who are waiting for me in the forest, and we have to right what is wrong in this country. And so then the Brahmana was happy, he laughs, and then he reveals who he is. He is actually Lord Indra. And so when he sees Indra, he falls down, he gives him prayers, and he asks, can you please give me your weapons? So Indra laughs, because he's his son actually. And then he tells him, I will give you when you please Lord Shiva, And so then he disappears. And so then at that moment, Arjuna sits down, takes a bath, and then he does this meditation and he worships. So he worships for 4 months. He does exactly what Dhruva Maharaj is doing, eat little fruit, eat little water, and so on, stand on feet also, just like Hiranyakashipu also, on the toes and so on. So when he's doing that, the entire universe is getting hot. So hot that the upper planetary denizens are worried. So they go and see Lord Shiva and say, he's burning up this place. Can you please, do something about him? And, we are worried. Because they are worried that Arjuna is going to take and conquer the heavenly planets. So then Lord Shiva smiles and says, he's not doing it for all those things. I know why he's here. I know why he is coming here, So then... and so Lord Shiva comes. And then with him, as we mentioned, the goblins, the hobgoblins, and the Rakshasas, and all Yakshas, everyone come together with the daughter of Himalaya, Uma. So he comes down, but he doesn't come as Lord Shiva, he comes as a hunter, and with his bow and arrow. And then all the others, they all transform into beautiful women, dancing and so on. And so they come, and then at that time, when they come, Danava, he takes a form of a very Rakshasa wild boar, and he's charging at Arjuna. So Arjuna takes his arrow and points, and then he sees this hunter coming also. So at that time he says, I've already got my arrow, so don't disturb. And he lets go his arrow. Just as he lets go his arrow, Lord Shiva also let go his arrow, the hunter. So both arrows shoot the boar and kills the boar. And then Lord Shiva says, I was the one who killed it. So then Arjuna argues, no, I was the one. How dare you interfere? This is not the proper etiquette for, in the killing of animals we declare, and one should have accepted that. But the hunter laughs and says, who do you think you are? I can do better than this. So then Arjuna gets so angry, he starts shooting his arrows at the hunter. But the arrows just touch him and fall. Nothing happens. And then the hunter laughs, shoot whatever arrows you have, all the most powerful ones also. And then as he shoots, Lord Shiva shoots back also. And then he defies him completely. And so finally, amazingly, his quiver, which is inexhaustible, that means you'll never empty, suddenly stops giving him arrows. So he cannot shoot anymore. So Arjuna takes his bow, Gandiva, and charges at the hunter, and he hits the hunter with the thing. And he hits it so hard, but the bow disappears into the body of the hunter, and he laughs. Then he gets so angry, he starts fighting with the hunter, fist fight. So both of them fight so much, and finally he realizes, I cannot defeat this person. I'm finished, Then as he was fighting, he realizes, because Lord Shiva blesses him, he realized this must be Lord Shiva. So he goes, he moves back, and then he pays obeisance, and he makes a linga, and then he worships the linga, and he offers flower and water and so on. As he's doing that, Lord Shiva then transforms into Lord Shiva and becomes very pleased with him. And then he blesses him. And then he says, what do you want? You fought very well, I'm very pleased with you. And then he said, give me your most terrible weapon, Pashupata weapon. So when he says that, Lord Shiva says, no mortal can wield this, and you cannot use it against any ordinary person. Only one who can wield celestial weapons. You can only use that. For if you just use it against any ordinary person, the entire creation will be destroyed. So then he tells him, okay, then Arjuna takes bath and he comes back to receive the mantra. So when Lord Shiva is giving that Pasupata weapon personifies Jai Shri Shri Radha Nilamada Shri Shri Radha Giridhari Girigordhan Shri Shri Daityadhanitai Gaurachanda ISKCON Guruvinda Ki Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So the weapon manifests as a person, and he's very terrible and fiery looking, very terrible. And then he receives it. So he says you can either use it as an arrow, you can chant it as a mantra, or you can remember it in your mind. And that's how Arjuna receives that mantra. Okay, so after that, Lord Shiva tells him, now you can go to Indra Loka and get the other weapons from there. So once Lord Shiva and his entourage disappears, Arjuna again waits for, meditates actually, and then Matali, the chariot driver of Indra, comes with a huge, chariot, 1,000 miles or whatever, and then he climbs the chariot and they go to that's how he goes to the heavenly planets. Yeah? Not on his own, but by the mercy of the demigods. Just like many kings also, Muchukunda also, they all went to the upper planetary to fight. Santanu also, they go. Dhritarashtra, Dasaratha also, they all went to the upper planetary system by the invitation. You have to become very qualified. But of course they were all devotees of Krishna also. So that also one thing we should remember. So in our own case also, when we want to go to any place, like even the Dham, holy Dham, we should ask the permission of the deities and the acharyas before we go. Sometimes we have to also ask our spiritual master. So that is the proper move. Just like, when we join the movement, we ask our spiritual master. I would email him or text him or even ask him personally, can I go to the Dham? And he'll say, yes, you can go. So that is the proper etiquette. By doing that, we get the proper blessings and we won't do anything wrong. Arjuna goes there, and in the Indraloka, he spends, it is said that he's away from the earthly planets for 5 years, Arjuna. He's away. But if you compare one day in the heavenly planet is 6 months. So you can calculate and see how many days he was there in the maybe 10 days, something like that. So whilst there, Indra teaches him all the different weapons, how to use and so on. So he's there for a few days, and then after he learns all those weapons, Indra then tells him, I want you to learn how to dance and sing and do drama from this Gandharva, Chitrasena. So Chitrasena then teaches him. Arjuna is thinking, why should I'm a Kshatriya, why am I supposed to do? So anyway, he listens to Indra. There must be a reason, otherwise it doesn't happen. At the end of that training and all that, Lord Indra sets him up with his consort, not his wife, but one of the celestial nymphs, Urvasi. So then he tells Chitrasena, I've been watching every time the Apsaras are dancing, Arjuna is eyeing Urvasi. So you tell Urvasi, go and please Arjuna. So Arjuna in his room in the middle of night, about to take rest, then he gets this message saying that Urvasi wants to see him. So he has seen Indra with Urvasi consorting. So then he thinks of her as his mother also. So he opens the door and welcomes her and is very respectful. And then she's very scantily dressed. So he closes his eyes and talks to her. So similarly as those who are practicing celibacy, and if you see some scantily dressed women, you should close your eyes, both men and women. So because it has impressions in the mind and it may not be easy to get rid of such impressions. And so she was exquisitely beautiful, She has a natural fragrance that is very intoxicating. And so she says, I came here because I heard that you have been looking at me, and Lord Indra told me that I've been told that Lord Indra wants me to consort with you. So tonight you'll experience great joy, So he's like, he closes his ears and said, no, no, no. You are like my mother, like Kunti, like Madri, like Sachimata, these three, and so I see you as my mother. So she again argues and says, how dare you speak like that? I've been sent by your own father Indra, and I in here in Indra, in this planetary system, there's no sin. You can sleep with anyone. And he's like, no, 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 no. He's very adamant. And then finally she gets angry and she curses him and say, you will, from now on, you think you're a man, you will lose your manliness. You become a eunuch. And then she walks away. And so he gets very disturbed. So he goes and tells Indra and says, she cursed me and become a eunuch. And Indra laughs and says, you have proven to be the best son of Kunti Devi, and you have not done anything wrong, and do not worry about the curse. This curse will become prevalent in your final year of exile in the forest. It will help all of you, and now you have all the weapons, and you'll be ready to fight the battle. So this is the pastime of Lord Shiva. And not only Indra gave the weapons, the Lokapalas, all of them gave. Varuna, Yamaraj, they gave all their weapons to Arjuna also. So it's very amazing. Yeah. So we should know another thing that I was reading that is interesting, it's like a trivia, that one devotee wrote to Srila Prabhupada and asked about where Arjuna and Kunti, are they also in Goloka? Then Srila Prabhupada said, no, they're not in Goloka. He says they are eternally associated with Krishna only in the material world. Srila Prabhupada mentions that. So why? Because he is Nara and Krishna is Narayana. Nara and Narayana, they go together and they do pastimes together. So it's a special potency. Arjuna is a very special potency of the Lord, and Kunti is the potency of perfection, actually. So they are all energies and potencies of Krishna. Although they are jiva, but they are empowered in that way. Okay, so I'll stop here. Any comments, any reflections, anything that you learned? Say something.
If I'm not mistaken, I think Urvashi is also great grandmother of Krishna.
Yes. Yes.
In one of the dynasties, she becomes a wife of somebody and then leaves.
The lineage comes from, because she was she was the wife of Puru, and the descendant of Puru is the forefather of Arjuna and the Pandavas. So therefore, it's also ridiculous. Yeah, but like she said, she's from the heavenly planet. Yeah. Pururava. Yeah.
In the story of Vishwamitra, I felt like, if we desire something material which is not destined, then we lose whatever we accumulated.
Yes.
And also, even spiritually, if we have some kind of desire, some attachment for something that is not supposed to happen, then we may lose our credits that we accumulated.
I think what you're saying is very true. One of the things you can also include in that is when we are practicing spiritual activities, we bring our material desires and we conflate them, thinking that now my desire is okay, I can ask Krishna all these things. And by doing that, we are actually falling back rather than pleasing Krishna. Originally, Arjuna was unwilling to fight the battle because that was his desire. And he's a good person, so he brought his desire. But then what was Krishna's desire? So when he understood Krishna's desire, that's when he started performing devotional service. So I just wanted to add that on, yeah. Any reflections? No? Afterwards, privately. Okay. All right, so thank you very much. Kantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Brahmana.